we were dealing with things before we even got the diagnosis. We were thinking autism, we were thinking, developmental delays and all this other stuff. And so we were kind of going through the motions of having to try to accept that he was not going to be like how Logan turned out.
We followed the path that a lot of Batten families follow where, I should say specifically CLN2 families, because his first seizure was at 3. And that's what a lot of CLN2 kids start at 3 with seizures. So at first we thought it was an epilepsy diagnosis. His sister had epilepsy as a child, so we didn't really think much of it. And then as we were seeing more and more things play out in school with the language delay, and he was just struggling in general, then we started looking at an autism diagnosis, which a lot of CLN2 families get as well. So we were following the path that many families had. And it's funny you talk about that loss piece. During the time that we were going through all of this, I was actually taking a class on spectrum disorders online, and I'm reading a book, and it's going through all of these different genetic disorders. And I'm reading it going, well, at least we're just dealing with autism. I mean, it would be so much worse if we were dealing with one of these where he's got stuff and then he's going to lose it. And little, did I know this was probably 8 months, 6 to 8 months before diagnosis.
At the end of the day, nothing's going to prepare you for that type of diagnosis. I mean, you're just not going to be prepared for that because you just don't. Again, I said to her, we lived a sheltered life, so to speak, and just a little bit naive to rare diseases, and
a lot naive.
Yeah, well, yeah, right, yeah. So, and and then it came.
So interesting is nowadays they're talking about early diagnosis, especially for these diseases where there are treatments. And I was just at a conference recently and spoke about early diagnosis. And someone asked me if you could now have had him tested at birth and knew, which would have taken away our 3 years of just living life, not knowing that he had this rare disease, would you have done it? And I was like, oh my gosh, what an amazing question, because we were, like you said, we were naive, we were clueless for the first 3 years, and then epilepsy comes up and it's like, okay, well, we can manage this. Then autism comes up and, well, autism, half the population's autistic.
Albert Einstein was autistic. I sent you an email. I said, yeah, look, Albert Einstein was autistic. He'll be fine.
So it put things into an interesting perspective, because it's like, yeah, we want that early diagnosis, but living 3 years in that, just joy of
cocoon,
our second child
yeah,
was pretty nice too.